HSR version 4.3 phase 2 banner is already started. This banner consists of a Phainon and also Cyrene, which is most awaited character, and she is having her first rerun. But when it comes to the Phainon having his like a second rerun. Now I should have already released this types of video before the banner release, but I'm kind of like making this video in the midst of the banner running, so it is not even a suitable time for releasing this kind of stuff, since I'm not even a big YouTuber just like the other HSR creators or any other gacha creators, but it is what it is. So in this video I'm going to talk about which character you should totally pull and which character you should not pull at any cost. Well, the two characters, which is the Phainon and also Cyrene, they do have their very much of a particular niche role. When it comes to the actual value into this current meta, some of them does not even have the current value into this recent meta, which is currently going on election meta, which I'm going to talk about. And after this video, I guess you are going to make a wise decision which character you should be pulling for and which character are going to be very much of a good for your own account. So without further ado, let's start the video. So our first character, which is none other than the Phainon. According to the Amorphous study, he is the most suffered character into the HSR verse because he took like a 33 millions to fix the whole timeline, and he is kind of like a goes toe to toe against our Nanook, which is a destruction emulator on destruction guard. Well, I'm not going to give you a major spoiler, because if I just give you a major spoiler, I guess you are not even able to play the Amorphous region, which is the main twisting point in that part. Anyway, when this guy was released back in, what's the day again? Yes, September or like August, he was actually power keeping the each and every character's animation one by one, because his animation was kind of like he goes into a domain expansion. Whenever he just deploy his meteor, whole over world is totally scattered too, and people are thinking that why HSR has not even released this type of character. This character should be the anniversary character, not the Custodes. Well, after the release of a Custodes, even for month, Custodes was not even top tier, because in that time Custodes was considered top tier just because of she is a dragon breather and was very much of a energetic to see that. Aside from his like a most animation heavy gameplay, his value just does not even have alignment into this current meta. Especially when he was released, he was kind of like facing an issue of a destruction path. Yes, you already know that destruction does not even heavily rely on a AoE target character, but Phainon kit does even allow you to have this kind of like AoE character, and when a destruction character have this AoE kit, those types of damage are going to be bounced towards one enemy to another enemy, which does kind of like give you a RNG damage, and most of the times some of the enemies are not even getting the actual damage what your Phainon should be do in the first place. If I just give you an example, if you do have a whole types of minion types of boss, some of the minions are here and there, and if you are using the Phainon's meteor mash into this enemy, some of the enemies are going to take huge damage after just defeating that, and your main, which is the main middle point of the boss, that boss are not going to get the actual damage, which is kind of like a very much of a bad when a destruction meet in a AoE types of damage. But that damage already been fixed. After some time later, they just release another harmony character which is specialized towards this Phainon, which is none other than Cyrene, where she can duplicate the skills. Whenever Phainon use his meteors, that meteor are going to be duplicate one after another, and after just clearing all the minions in first wave, second duplicate when it is going to be deployed, the main damage are going to be deployed only a single target, which is the main boss of that turn. So then that's the time you are going to see the huge amount of damage are going to be happen in there. But you already know that Phainon does have another issue, is that he have to take so much turn to generating his kind of like a points, which is 4 points. Sometimes when he is using the basic skills, it will be consist of or generating the 2 points, but when he is actually doing the counter attack, he going to deploy or he going to generate the 3 points. In his playstyle, he does have a three types of playstyle, which I totally forgot to mention, which is the basic and also counter and also the meteor smash. These meteor smash are totally dedicated towards the basic attack and also the counter attack. Whenever you are going to do the counter and also basic, those are things are going to generate the point. Basic attack does generate the less point, but when it comes to the counter, it generates the higher point. That's the main thing that you have to understand. So Cyrene was somewhat facing the issue, but as I already mentioned before, his speed and also he doesn't even get that much of a turn, which makes him a very much of a less content worthy into the current meta or into the respective meta. So people who really wanted to play the Phainon, they already found the solution, which is making the E2. Yes, that kind of problem are going to be fixed if you are just somehow able to pull him as a E2. What the E2 gives him, which is the totally a game breaking things, which is whenever he is actually doing the basic or single attack, that single attack are going to give him a 100% action advance. So this 100 action advance are going to help him to deploy his meteor dash without just waiting for another 1 or 2 turns whenever the enemies are going to attack you. So that's totally fixed all over the issue. and also having the Seritra going to deploy much more consistent meteor dash, and also you are going to do that actual damage. But after some time later, some of the other characters such as the Cyrene, if you do have Cyrene on the team, whenever Cyrene is in the field, you are going to have him always 100% uptime on his ultimate. And this is actually another very much of a good things. But one thing is for sure, when it comes to the actual team building and also cost worthy, Phainon is very much of a heavy cost. And if you are a new player who really wanted to start this game and also with this like a action animation heavy character, I would like to say that don't totally indulge by the animation or totally wow by the animation. All I wanted to say is that skip that character, because the next character, which is going to be the Cyrene, when I'm going to give you the actual of a brief description, I guess you are going to change your mind by just totally avoid pulling him. So let's move on to our next character, which is none other than the Cyrene. Well, when she was released, she was created a very much of a controversy into the HSR community, because her total of a playstyle was gated around her ultimate. Yes, whenever she is actually deploy the ultimate, the amount of team member on your team remains, all the character are going to have their ultimate uptime. Especially if I just give you an example, Silver Roof. Yes, Silver Roof level 1999 is one of those character which does not even follow the actual of a standard energy based DPS characters. Such as there's also another character which is a Castoris and also Acheron. This character does not even follow the basic rules of a energy and also give you some of this like energy, and they are going to deploy the ultimate. They need to feel a certain criteria to deploy their ultimate, and those characters are also going to be included when Cyrene are deploying their ultimate. So that's how much of powerful the Cyrene ultimate, and what our ultimate gives us beside the full of a ultimate generation of our whole over teammate, which is none other than the true damage. Yes, whenever she is actually using the skill, all of the team member remaining in that team, all the attacks they are going to deploy, it could be skill, it could be basic attack, all those attacks are going to be count as a true damage. You already know that when the Remembrance comes from 2025, true damage was the very much of a powerful things which totally bring back so many old characters from the dead, or so many characters who most of the people are not even using into the current or respective meta. So that kind of true damage are very much of a crucial things. But one thing is for sure, when it comes to generating her stack for deploying her ultimate, which is very slow. If you really want to fix it, you have to get her E2. And yes, that's the main thing. HSR is currently having a very much of a bad time when it comes to creating a perfect character. If the character plays an important role into the story, people are going to think that this character is going to give us a huge amount of value in a gameplay or in a practical use as well as. But when it comes to the actual, or when the character release, that character becomes a E2 merchant. E2 merchant means if the character doesn't even have that E2, you are going to lose a huge amount of value. So Cyrene is one of those characters. But after the final release, the characters somewhat have the good amount of things. People are stop bashing her and somewhat using her back and forth. But why she is making the actual useful is that she does have her personal damage, and having the whole over teammates enable the true damage, which is always going to be the uptime, is the main major things. Because in that game, we do have two characters who can give us a true damage buff aside from the Cyrene. First character, which is a free character, which is the RMC, where full name is a Remembrance MC. You can even just get him or her based around your gender, whatever you select for your MC versions. That character, whenever you are going to complete the Amorphous or reach the Amorphous, you are going to unlock that Remembrance MC. These Remembrance MC are going to give your a particle single character a true damage. Not all over the teammate are going to get this kind of like a true damage buff. And another character which can also give you true damage, which is none other than the Tribe, but that also comes at a cost, which is Tribe E1. So if you are being unlucky, it could take like a 220 pulls to get that character with E1, which is somewhat for some people, if you do have huge amount of money, then it could be a okay options. But if you don't even have, and also F2P, I would say this is very much of a bad things to do that. So getting a Cyrene, which is a 80 pull, or if you are unlucky, then 160 pull, also going to give you a kind of like a two character in a one versions. So Cyrene is very much of an important character to have you on your account, and she is also having her first rerun. But when it comes to the Phainon, this guy is also having his second rerun. So choose wisely. And true damage is one of those like a buff. Whenever you are going to deploy or deal a damage towards the enemy, your damage are going to does not even follow the resistance or also defense whatever the enemies have in that time. That's how much of powerful the true damage. Even it is a better version of the Elation, which is currently actually running on. Elation is very much restricted. If you don't even have a Elation character on your team, I guess you cannot even deploy the AHA damage, which is the main damage source of the Elation. But when it comes to Remembrance, it can give you the true damage buff for any of this character, and your character are going to deal a huge amount of damage according to the true damage buff. So if you really want to invest, and also if you are a new player who really want to have an easy time, Cyrene is going to be the best pick. Cyrene does not even have that much of a rerun, and we don't even know that when she is going to get her second rerun all along. If I really want to give you a TLDR of this video, pick Cyrene. Don't even pick for the Phainon. But if you are a melee enjoyer player and also really like to see the cool animations, go with the Phainon. Who am I to judge your decision? But if you really want to see a meta perspective, meta value, then I guess Cyrene is going to be the good pick. But there is also another fatigue which already left in our previous banner, which is none other than the Martinex blade. Yes, that blade. I'm not talking about the old blade. I'm talking about the actual Ava conversion blade, which just create a very much of rile up into the community. If you do have him, I guess picking the Cyrene is also not going to be the good options. Just not even having the 2 damage, blade can give you all the things what no other character in this game could give you. Most closest example or most closest character could give you, which is none other than the TV. But when it comes to the actual value and actual buff, debuff, personal damage, then Martinex blade is actually going to be the busted one. Especially having an easy row, he just give you way amount of value what Cyrene E2 could give you. I guess that's all for it. If you like it, leave a like. If you do have any more questions regarding these 2 characters what I already covered about, you can totally let me know in the comment section. See you on the next video. Till then, peace.